Welcome to the Slow Living Collective podcast. I'm Amy, wife, mother of two and homemaker. Come along with me as I share my love for simple living, growing in my allotment garden, diving into what it means to be an urban homesteader and embracing life as a mother and homemaker. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Slow Living Collective. Now today I want to dive into a bit of a different topic. I kind of sometimes put topics like this out there and I always feel like, oh my gosh, this doesn't fit in with anything I talk about, but also at the same time I have all of this knowledge and nowhere to put it. So when I did some episodes on like business related stuff and I did one about my mailing list, I get a lot of questions, and I also, when I hear from people, they say they do really enjoy listening to that. And I know that I have lots of people on here that are just interested in this sort of thing. So if it's not for you, that's fine. I will occasionally put like little ones like this on there. But if you hadn't been able to tell from the title of this episode, this one is going to talk about authenticity and community on Instagram. Now, for those of you who don't really know me, maybe you're coming to this podcast for the first time, or you're fairly new to this space, or maybe you don't follow me over on Instagram, then maybe you don't know that I've spent a lot of my career as either a content creator, social media manager, copywriter, personal brand strategist, all of those sorts of things. So I do have some knowledge, I guess. And I wanted to talk about why it's important to be authentic when you are showing up on Instagram, whether that be in a personal capacity or a business capacity, and why you can use it to build a strong community on Instagram. And again, that can be personally or potentially for business, or maybe a mix of both. My preference, so if you bear in mind that I am a content creator, I would predominantly describe myself as a mother, a homemaker, home educator, urban homesteader. That's how I would, I guess, describe myself. And alongside that, I do things like create content for this podcast, I create content for my blog, I create content for Instagram. And I have some paid things that I offer, and I have a lot of free things that I offer. And so I guess my route through what is a multi-passionate landscape, I guess, would be that of being a personal brand. And a personal brand really is where you as the person are the focus. And so it's almost, to me, I guess, it's almost like I get to do what I love, and I get to be me, and I get to be authentically who I am. And then I also get to share some of those offerings, whether they're free or paid, with the world. And that's probably about the long and short of it and how I think about it. I don't have any grand business strategy for anything, and I just enjoy being me and enjoy sharing what I share with the world. So the topic of today's episode, authenticity and building a strong community on Instagram. So whether you are just you posting in a personal capacity, whether you are more like me, I guess, and being more of like a personal brand, or whether you are just solely a business, whether that be an online business, a product-based business, or a service-based business. It is amazing to be able to build a strong community on Instagram. And one of the most important things you can do is really focus on your authenticity, because it is absolutely the key to developing a loyal following that both supports you, your brand if you have one, and ultimately your content. So I want to talk to you about how you can use your authenticity to create connections with people, how you can share your story, show your personality, and just engage with the people who are just like you, and just create a community that trusts you and believes in you, because authenticity is actually the key. If you aren't authentic, I don't know that you've got anything left, if I'm honest. So, how can you be authentic on Instagram? So, I have always found like the best way to be authentic is to just show up as you. Just share who you are, share your story. Now, you don't have to share everything. In fact, I'm the queen of actually being a bit more, I don't know what's the right word. I guess I curate my content a bit more, and that's for a number of reasons. I like to maintain a personal life, but I also like to maintain privacy in that. I like to maintain privacy for my children, and you'll know if you've followed me for a while, I don't share the names of my children, I don't share their faces, I don't share their milestones. I just share that they exist, but my take on life with them. So I don't want them to have a digital footprint before they are able to understand what that means. I can't post with their permission, and I don't want to post without their permission. And that's something my husband and I went back and forth on for a long time. You know, what was the right thing to do in this day and age? You know, just things that our parents didn't even have to think about. But just thinking about what felt right for us and for our family. So for us, not sharing the children's faces, not sharing their milestones, not sharing their names, not sharing too much content of their life. Anything that I share, I try and look at it from my perspective and the way I view it. So it's more of my thoughts, what it's like for me as their parent, and just try and keep their life as offline as possible, so that when they're 16 years old and they log on to Instagram, if Instagram still exists when they're 16 years old, and they don't have this whole persona already developed for them. That's really important to me. Like, imagine having this entire life curated, and it's almost been decided who you are without you deciding who you are. And so that's something I like to keep very private. I want my children to, when they decide who they are, that they get to be the one that shares that story and not me, because I was given that benefit, right? And most of us were, because we didn't grow up in a social media age. And so, I have the beauty that my baby photos only exist in a photo album in the sideboard in my mum's house, and they aren't posted all over the internet. My milestones are not all over the internet. And, while absolutely celebrate my children's milestones when they walk, talk, use the toilet, eat for the first time, say their first words, all of those sorts of things, absolutely celebrate them when they happen, I feel like they are personal. And so all of this to say that, sharing your story doesn't mean you have to share your whole story. You can certainly let your audience in on your personal journey or personal experiences, and be authentic with them, but it's okay to not share everything. We live in this social media age where it's very much shouted about, like, the internet isn't real, Instagram isn't real, Instagram's just a highlight reel. And while I don't necessarily subscribe to the philosophy that Instagram is only a highlight reel, I think there is a lot of authenticity in there. I do think that it's okay that you don't have to share everything. It's your platform. You decide what you feel comfortable with, and you can still connect with people. You can still be authentic without having to share everything. So you can showcase your unique perspective on things, your voice, and your personality to your audience, but you get to decide what that looks like. And you can obviously share pictures or videos that give a glimpse into your personal life. You can share captions that maybe tell a story, share personal things that you're comfortable with. So one of the things I would say I'm probably the most open about is my experiences with breastfeeding grief and trauma. And it took me a really long time to be comfortable to share that, but it's something that I know also is really important. It's important that you are genuine and transparent, but also that you only do things that you're comfortable with. Because by sharing your story, of course, people will build connection with you, but I guess as well, I just want to sort of really push home that you don't have to share everything, and it's okay not to share everything, and don't let everybody on Instagram shouting about things not being authentic because you don't share everything, because you can absolutely be authentic and still not have to share everything. I view Instagram as a tool. I view Instagram as a place where I can connect with other like-minded people, where I can talk to the people in my community, and I don't have to share every single part of myself to make that happen. So another great thing you can do to be authentic and help sort of build your community on Instagram is to show your personality. Now, sometimes it's I always think like, I don't think people get my personality on Instagram, but I think it's really important to share who you are and just be yourself, because you will have a distinct perspective, you'll have a distinct personality, and that is what's authentic. Your personality and your voice is what make you and your brand, or whatever you are, business, brand, just you, it will make it authentic, relatable, and also interesting, and people will just want to keep coming back for more. So share your journey, share the parts of your journey that you are prepared to share, and just let the uniqueness of who you are really shine through, because you are your own unique person, and by infusing your content with your personality, your audience are more likely to find points of connection with you that they find are relatable. So when it comes to showing your personality, by sharing your story and your experiences, you can create a bond with your followers that is going to transcend that surface level of engagement. If you can showcase your personality through your content, you will not only differentiate yourself from a sea of what is sometimes generic content on Instagram, but you're also going to highlight what is your distinctive perspective on things, and that is true authenticity. Your personality and voice are what make you and or your brand authentic, relatable, interesting. So don't hesitate to share the parts of your journey that you feel capable of sharing and that you want to share, and allow that unique personality to continue to shine. Now, another way to show your personality on Instagram is through the visual. Instagram is a very visual platform, whether it be through video in Instagram Reels, whether it be through pictures and video in stories, or whether it be through photos on your grid. And you can use things that are connected to your personality, such as colours, filters, and just the general overall aesthetic of your feed. Now, there are two camps when it comes to Instagram aesthetic. There are people that will say, like, it's not authentic to edit your photos. And then there are people that are like, absolutely do what you want to do. If you want to create a pretty aesthetic on your feed, then go ahead and do it. I don't care, actually. Sounds brutal, but I don't care. I actually like to use a Lightroom preset on my pictures. I feel like I'm not a photographer. Let me put that out there. I'm not a photographer. I don't know anything about photography, but I do enjoy taking a nice photo when it comes to content creation. And I like to then enhance some of the elements of it. So I like to enhance the brightness, the colour, and I feel like I like my photos to have a certain look. And so I actually create my own Lightroom presets, and you can, I suppose now this is a bit of a shout out, but you can actually purchase my Lightroom presets from my shop, which is theslowlivingcollective.com/shop. You can find them in there. I actually use my signature preset pack, which you'll find in there, and I think they're actually on sale at the moment as well, so even better. And yeah, you can just apply them to Lightroom and just play around with them. But I really enjoy having pretty photos and a pretty feed, and that is not for the enjoyment of anybody but myself. So if that is you, think about what colours or themes really represent your personality or your brand, and then you can just start incorporating them into your content. And you can also experiment with different editing techniques, and just create a unique look and feel that when somebody sees a photo, they know it's from you. I think as well, by expressing your personality through your content in this way, you're able to create more genuine, authentic connection with your followers, and then this will encourage them to engage with you and become part of your community. So let's move on to engagement and just building your relationship with people on the app. Now, engagement is crucial to building community on Instagram. And as you create and share content that is going to reflect your personality and your brand's personality, it's really important that you actively engage with your followers. You need to respond to comments and messages and use captions to create discussion, encourage feedback. And by doing this, by initiating and participating in conversations with the people that follow you, you are going to create a sense of community and you will start to foster really genuine relationships. Now, I've been on the app for many years through many sort of, changes throughout me and my business, and I have a core group of amazing followers who have stuck with me, and I've stuck with them, and we have it's crazy actually, isn't it, that you have these relationships with people on an app, and some of them transcend into the real world and some of them don't. They just always stay on the app. And it's crazy really that we have this core group of people that follow us and support us and like big us up and celebrate our wins with us and are there for us when things maybe aren't going so great, and we may never meet them. Isn't that insane? But yeah, you are going to be able to, through authenticity, you are going to be able to foster genuine relationships. And as you engage with your followers, I want you to remember this. It's not about promoting your content and promoting what you do. It's about serving them and appreciating people and supporting other people who are in your niche. So this might mean leaving thoughtful comments on people's posts, sharing people's content with your own followers, which you can do into your stories. You might want to collaborate with people, and you can definitely support people, and just continue to build relationships with people and serve people. Above everything else, you want to be serving them and connecting with them. It's not about selling. And so, by doing these things, you're going to start to build a stronger community, and you're going to feel like you're showing up more authentically online. You'll be showing your personality, engaging with your followers, collaborating maybe with other creators, and you're going to create a space that fosters genuine connection and encourages growth. So, how do you go about collaborating and supporting others? So when you're working on building an authentic community on Instagram, you have to remember that it's not about you. It's not about what you're selling. It's about serving other people and supporting other people as well. And you should absolutely take the time to appreciate and support other creators, whether that be collaborating or just showing up and being supportive. It's an excellent way to build relationships. And also, it helps expand reach within your own community as well. So one way to support other creators on the platform is so simple, and it's to leave thoughtful comments on their posts. If you come across someone's work and you really like it, then leave a comment. Be genuine, be authentic, don't just leave comment for comment's sake. But if you come across something that you enjoy, let them know. If they asked a question in their caption and you want to answer it, answer it. And it just shows that you are paying attention and that you do care. Comments spark conversations, and it really helps build a community, and supporting creators is incredible. So another way you can do that as well is by sharing content that you love with your own followers. If you see a post that aligns with who you are and you think will resonate with your audience, then share it. This works particularly well in stories, and it helps your fellow creator, but it also provides your followers with valuable content that maybe they wouldn't have found otherwise. And if I share a lot about like simple living, for example, and if someone else, one of the creators I follow, shares something about simple living and it aligns with me and my personality and my authenticity, then I'll share it. And then I often find that my followers will then follow that person if they didn't already, and it's just helping people find new content and finding things that align with their lives as well. So you can also collaborate with other creators. You can partner with other Instagrammers that are in your niche, whether that be on a joint project, a giveaway, and that obviously helps by it will just create a wider reach and push things to a wider audience, which might introduce your followers to new creators, and it might then introduce whoever you're collaborating with. Their audience might then find you. And so by collaborating and supporting others, you're going to continue to just be building those genuine connections, and that will encourage growth within your community. And I think ultimately, we're just working on being the most authentic version of ourselves. Consistency is also another massive key when it comes to building an authentic, engaged Instagram community, because showing up consistently with good quality content and supporting your fellow creators is so helpful, because it's going to build a strong brand and it will continue to foster those meaningful connections. It's important to establish a consistent posting schedule and try and stick to it. Now, I'm not one to judge, because I can sometimes be all over the place. Sometimes you might get 5 grid posts in a row from me, and then you won't hear from me 5 days on the bounce on my grid. So I'm working on that, but I generally try and post maybe 3 times a week if I can. So just whatever works for you, whether you want to post once a day on your grid or 3 times a week or every day, however that works for you. I find that I tend to show up most days, if not every day, on my stories to some extent, some days more, some days less. And then I guess I show up less on my grid. But when I show up on my grid posts as well, they're more thoughtful than a story, to be honest. When I show up on a grid post, I have taken time and intention to take a nice photo, to edit it how I like it, to create a meaningful caption, and so I feel like when I show up on Instagram, I show up with purpose on my grid. So for me, less is sometimes more there, because I just like to create something with intention and with thought behind it. Now, if you've decided that you quite like the aesthetically pleasing idea of Instagram, then maintaining a consistent aesthetic can be helpful as well. A consistent colour palette, editing style, whether that be filters, Lightroom presets, the overall look and feel. And like I said earlier, this will help your followers actually recognise you or your brand before they even see who posted it. So by showing up consistently with quality content, supporting fellow creators, you'll be able to build a strong brand or a strong personality if you're not being anybody but yourself, and start to foster some meaningful connections with your followers. And you'll be able to, you'll just be able to cultivate a strong network of followers who really appreciate you and really engage with your content. So I guess all of that to say, authenticity is the key to building a strong community on Instagram. By sharing your story, showing your personality, engaging in conversations, collaborating, supporting others, being consistent in your efforts, you will be able to create a sense of belonging and connection amongst your followers. Authenticity is not something you can fake. You can't fake being authentic. It's who you are. It's a way of life. So if you can show up as the most authentic version of yourself, and remember, we have lots of different versions of ourselves, so the authentic version of your online self, then it will go some way to helping you create an authentic Instagram following. If you make your followers feel valued, heard, understood, they will become yours or your brand's biggest advocates. So this is your permission to go ahead, be yourself, and watch your authentic community start to grow. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope it was helpful to all of you. I know so many of us are on Instagram. Not all of us are there to sell something. Not all of us are there as a brand. But I hope these tips can help you when you reframe your thinking around how you can build a wonderful community on Instagram, because you can do that whether you are looking to sell products, whether you are a service-based business, whether you are an online business, or whether you are just you. Whether you are just you or whether you're a personal brand. Whatever that is, whether you're there for fun or for work, then these are some incredible tips to just be more authentically you. And remember, you only have to show up as the version of yourself, the authentic version of yourself that you feel comfortable with. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not being authentic because you don't share every single detail of your life. Don't forget to follow me over on Instagram. It would be very remiss of me not to add my Instagram after that episode. You can follow me there at lifeonplot44, and you can follow me over on my blog where you can get tons of information about simple living, allotment gardening, urban homesteading, and maybe a little bit of entrepreneurship apparently too. So you can find that over on my blog. That is theslowlivingcollective.com. I hope today's tips were helpful, and I will catch you in the next episode.